Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, you're still not growing? Like you're doing all the right things, praying, reading, showing up. But something inside you feels stuck? Like you're moving but not actually going anywhere. You see other people talk about peace, joy, connection with God, and you wonder why it feels so natural for them, but so heavy for you. And maybe you've never said this out loud, but deep down there's this quiet frustration building. Why does this feel so hard? Why am I not changing? Am I doing something wrong, or is something wrong with me? It's not just confusion, it's discouragement. Because the more effort you put in, the more it feels like you're falling short. And slowly, without even realizing it, your faith starts to feel like pressure instead of peace, like a system you have to maintain, instead of a relationship you get to experience. You pray, but your mind wanders. You read, but it feels dry. You try to focus, but something feels disconnected. And then comes the dangerous thought, if I just try harder, maybe then things will change. So you push, more discipline, more effort, more pressure. But instead of breakthrough, you feel more exhausted, more aware of your flaws, more aware of what's missing, more aware of how far you still have to go. And here's where it gets dangerous, because at some point you stop expecting transformation. You just start managing disappointment. You lower your expectations. You go through the motions. You keep showing up. But inside, you feel stuck. If that's where you are right now, listen carefully. Because this is important. You are not stuck because you're not trying hard enough. You are stuck because you've believed something that sounds true but is actually keeping you trapped. A lie, a subtle one, a convincing one that most people never question. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Everything about how you approach your faith will begin to shift, and not slowly, but immediately. Because the moment truth replaces a lie, freedom doesn't have to be forced. It happens. So let's go straight to the heart of it. Imagine two people. The first one wakes up every day with a quiet pressure sitting on their chest. They don't always notice it at first, but it's there. A constant sense that they need to do more, be more, fix more. They start their day thinking about what they should do to stay on track. Maybe they tell themselves, I need to pray longer today. I need to be more focused. I need to stop messing up. And even when their intentions are good, the foundation is pressure. So when they pray, it's not just conversation. It's evaluation. Am I doing this right? Is this enough? Is God pleased with this? When they read, it's not just receiving. It's measuring. How much did I get? Did I understand enough? Will this actually change me? And when they fail, it hits harder than it should. Because failure doesn't just feel like a mistake. It feels like proof. Proof that they're not where they should be. Proof that they're falling behind. Proof that something is wrong. So what do? They try harder. They double down. They push themselves to improve. But every step forward feels heavy. Because underneath it all, they're trying to earn something they think they don't fully have. Now, meet the second person. From the outside, they don't look that different. They still pray. They still read. They still care about growing. But internally, it's completely different. They don't wake up with pressure. They wake up with awareness. They don't start their day thinking about what they need to prove. They start their day grounded in what's already true, that they are already accepted, already known, already connected. So when they pray, it's not performance, it's presence. There's no quiet voice asking, is this enough? Because they're not trying to reach God. They believe He's already near. When they read, it's not pressure to extract something. It's openness, curiosity, a willingness to receive instead of force. And when they fail, yes, they notice it, but it doesn't shake their foundation, because their identity isn't built on how well they perform. It's rooted in something deeper, something unchanging. So instead of spiraling, they return, they realign, they continue, without the weight, without the panic, without the constant fear of falling short. Now here's the question. What actually makes the difference between these two people? It's not discipline. It's not intelligence. It's not how much time they spend doing spiritual things. The difference is not external at all. The difference is internal. The first person believes, maybe not consciously but deeply, that growth comes from effort. That closeness with God is something they have to build, maintain, and constantly prove. But the second person lives from a completely different belief. And this is where everything shifts. The dangerous lie that keeps people spiritually stuck is this: that transformation comes from trying harder. It sounds right. It sounds responsible. It even sounds spiritual. But it quietly creates a cycle you can never win. Because if growth depends on your effort, then every moment becomes pressure. Every failure becomes heavier. And peace becomes something you have to earn. But here is the truth that changes everything. Transformation doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from staying connected, not forcing change but allowing it, not striving to become but remaining in what already is. And most people miss this because it feels too simple, too passive, too easy. But simple doesn't mean weak, it means foundational. And once you understand this, you stop fighting the wrong battle. You stop exhausting yourself trying to produce something that was never meant to come from effort in the first place. Instead, you begin to shift, not all at once, but in a way that is real, sustainable, and freeing. In the next part, we're going to break this down even deeper, because understanding the truth is one thing, but learning how to actually live it, that's where everything changes. So, what does it actually mean to stay connected? Because this is where a lot of people get stuck again. You hear something like that and it sounds good, peaceful, simple, even hopeful. But then the question comes back almost immediately. Okay, but what do I actually do? And without realizing it, your mind tries to turn connection into another form of effort, another system, another checklist, another thing to get right. But if we're not careful, we'll take the very truth that's meant to free us and turn it into a new kind of pressure. So let's slow this down, because if you miss this part, you'll go right back into the same cycle. Staying connected is not about doing more. It's about relating differently. It's not about increasing activity. It's about shifting awareness. Let me explain. Think about your phone for a second. When your phone battery is low, you don't panic and start pressing buttons harder. You don't open more apps to try to generate energy. You don't tell yourself, I just need to use this phone better. You plug it into a power source, and once it's connected, energy flows naturally. You don't force the charge. You don't control the process. You simply stay connected, and over time, everything changes. Now here's the honest question. How often do we treat our spiritual lives the exact opposite way? We feel empty, so we try harder. We feel disconnected, so we push more. We feel dry, so we add pressure, instead of recognizing what's actually missing: connection. And here's the deeper truth most people overlook. Connection is not something you create, it's something you become aware of. Because if your entire faith is built on reaching God, you'll always feel like He's just a little out of reach. But if the foundation shifts to this, that God is already present, already near, already available, then everything changes. You're no longer trying to get to Him. You're learning to live with Him. And that changes the posture of everything you do. Prayer stops being a performance. It becomes a response. Reading stops being an obligation. It becomes an invitation. Even silence stops feeling empty. It becomes full. But this is where honesty matters. Because even when you hear this, there's still a part of you that might resist it. A quiet voice that says, if it's really that simple, why don't I feel it? And that's a fair question, because the truth is, connection doesn't always feel dramatic. It doesn't always come with emotion. It doesn't always come with instant clarity. Sometimes it feels subtle, quiet, almost unnoticeable. And that's exactly why so many people miss it, because they've trained themselves to look for intensity instead of consistency. They've learned to chase feelings instead of recognizing presence. But think about this. A branch doesn't feel divine every second. It doesn't wake up thinking, wow, I feel so connected today. It simply remains, and over time, fruit appears. Not because of how it felt in the moment, but because of where it stayed. And this is the shift. You stop asking, do I feel connected right now? And you start anchoring yourself in, am I choosing to remain? Because connection is not proven by emotion. It's revealed through consistency, through returning, through staying. Even when it feels quiet, even when it feels ordinary, even when nothing seems to be happening. And this is where something powerful begins to unfold. Because when you stop chasing the feeling, you become available to something deeper. Peace that isn't dependent on emotion. clarity that isn't forced, stability that doesn't collapse when things fluctuate. You begin to realize that growth was never meant to be dramatic. It was meant to be steady, like roots going deeper underground where no one sees, like a seed breaking open in silence before anything appears above the surface. And suddenly, your expectations begin to change. You're no longer looking for instant transformation. You're no longer discouraged by slow progress. You're no longer measuring your faith moment by moment. You're simply staying and trusting that something is happening, even when you can't see it yet. But let's make this even more practical, because understanding the concept is one thing. Living it is where the shift becomes real. So how do you actually move from striving to staying? From pressure to connection, from effort to flow? It starts with small, intentional switches, not big dramatic changes, not overwhelming commitments, just simple shifts in how you think, how you respond, and how you relate. And these switches are what begin to rewire everything. They interrupt the old pattern. They create space for something new. And over time, they build a completely different way of living. In the next part, I'm going to walk you through 5 of the most powerful switches you can start using immediately. Not theory, not abstract ideas, but real practical shifts you can apply today, in the middle of your normal life. Because this isn't about understanding more. It's about experiencing something different. And once you do, you won't want to go back. So now it becomes real. Not just something you understand, but something you begin to live. Because the shift from striving to staying connected doesn't happen through one big moment. It happens through small, consistent decisions, simple switches, repeated daily. And over time, those small shifts begin to change everything. So here are 5 powerful switches you can start using right now. Not perfectly, not all at once, but intentionally. Asterisk switch 1, from performance, presence. Most people approach God like they're being evaluated. Every prayer feels like it needs to be good. Every moment feels like it needs to be right. But that mindset creates distance, because you can't be fully present when you're constantly performing. So here's the shift. Stop trying to impress God. Start becoming aware of Him. Not later. Not when you feel more spiritual. Right now. In this moment, even as you're listening, pause for just a second and simply acknowledge, God, you're here. No long speech, no perfect words, just awareness, because presence always begins with recognition. Real life example? Asterisk, you're about to pray, but your mind feels scattered. Instead of forcing focus, just say, God, I don't feel focused, but I know you're here with me. And stay there. That's connection. Asterisk, simple prayer, Father, help me stop performing and start being with you. Asterisk switch 2, from pressure to trust. Pressure is one of the biggest signs that you've slipped back into the lie, because pressure always says the same thing. It depends on you. Your growth, your breakthrough, your consistency. And without realizing it, you start carrying something you were never meant to carry. But here's the truth. God is not waiting for you to hold everything together. He's already working. Even when you don't see it. Even when you don't feel it. So instead of tightening control, you release it. Asterisk real life example. Asterisk you feel anxious because things aren't changing fast enough. Instead of pushing harder, pause and say, God, I trust that you are already at work even here, and let that truth settle. Ask, simple prayer, God, I release this pressure. I trust you are already moving. Asterisk switch 3, from noise, stillness. We live in constant noise. Notifications, thoughts, distractions. And then we wonder why connection feels distant. But connection doesn't grow in noise. It deepens in stillness. Not complicated stillness. Not some perfect, silent environment. Just moments where you stop filling every space. Asterisk real life example. Take 2 minutes. No music. No phone. No words. Just sit and be aware. Your mind will wander. That's okay. Gently bring it back, again and again. Not forcing, just returning. Because stillness isn't about emptying your mind perfectly. It's about making space. Asterisk simple prayer. Asterisk simple Lord, I'm listening. Asterisk switch 4. From control, surrender. Asterisk control feels safe. It gives the illusion that if you manage everything, you'll be okay. But in reality, control creates tension because deep down, you know you can't hold everything together. And that's where surrender comes in, not as weakness, but as trust. Trust that God sees what you don't, knows what you don't, and is leading in ways you can't always understand. Ask real-life example. Asterisk, something doesn't go the way you expected. Your instinct is to resist, to question, to stress. Instead, pause and say, God, I don't understand this, but I trust you. And release the need to control the outcome. Ask simple prayer, your will, not mine. I trust your way is better. Switch 5, from lack identity. This one changes everything, because at the root of striving is a belief that you're lacking something. Not enough faith, not enough discipline, not enough closeness with God, so you try to fill the gap. But what if the gap isn't real? What if the foundation is already secure? You're not trying to become accepted. You're living from being already accepted. You're not trying to earn love. You're responding to love that's already there. And when that becomes real to you, everything shifts. Because you stop chasing and start resting. Real-life example, you mess up. Instead of pulling away, say, God, even here, I belong to you. And stay. Don't withdraw. Don't punish yourself. Return. That's where transformation happens. Simple prayer. I am already yours. Help me live from that truth. Now here's what begins to happen when you start applying these switches, not perfectly, but consistently. Something inside you starts to soften. The pressure begins to lift. The constant need to measure yourself fades, and in its place, something deeper grows. You begin to feel peace even before anything externally changes. You begin to trust even when you don't have answers. You begin to rest in a way you didn't think was possible. Not because everything is suddenly perfect, but because you're no longer trying to carry it all. You're no longer trying to force growth. You're no longer trying to prove something. You're simply staying connected. And from that place, real transformation begins. Not rushed, not forced, but steady, deep, unshakable. You will begin to feel lighter in your faith instead of constantly burdened. Stop overanalyzing every prayer and every thought. Experience peace in ordinary, everyday moments. Build a connection with God that feels real, not mechanical. So hear this clearly today. The lie says, try harder and you'll finally grow. But the truth is, stay connected and growth will come naturally. Right now you can make that shift, not tomorrow. Not when you feel more ready, right now. You can simply whisper, God, I stop striving. I choose to stay connected to you. And mean it, even if it feels small, even if it feels quiet, because that moment is where everything begins to change. If this message spoke to you, do one thing right now. Go down to the comments and type, I choose connection over performance. Let it be a decision, not just a sentence. And if you know someone who feels stuck like this, share this with them. It might be exactly what they need to hear. If you want more simple, freeing, life-changing truths like this, subscribe to Bible Resolve and turn on the notification bell. Because you don't have to keep living in pressure. You don't have to keep chasing something that already exists. You don't have to keep trying to earn what has already been given. You don't have to strive your way into growth. You just have to stay connected. I'll see you in the next one.